Hello, hello, hello. Blessed MABON. Okay, this is ridiculously dirty. Hang on. That should be way better. Okay. Hi, Blessed MABON. I hope everyone is good. Let me get this up so I can see your comments. Because, oh yeah, actually I did figure out how to do it here, huh? Live chat. Hey, hey. Perfect. Okay. And I need to mute. Yes, so I don't hear my own voice on here. Hi, Kara. All right. Hello. How is everyone? Blessed MABON. Blessed Autumn Equinox. Blessed Alban Alfred, as the Druids call it. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. It has been a good day. I hope everyone has had a good MABON so far. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Deb. Hello, hello, hello. I really, I can't even tell you how good it has been today. Not that it started out awesome, but I will get into that. I want to allow, some people to come in before I get into the story of the talk that we're going to do today. Hi, KT. I really hope that you all find some kind of way to honor MABON, whether that be, it might be that you're here, and so that's what you're going to do. That's okay. Hi, Court. Cutie Court. MABON. I do kind of want to start with what MABON is. Hi, Stephen. Because a lot of people, especially when you start your journey in this path, don't really, MABON is kind of one of those mysterious Sabbats. Hi, Lady Blind Wolf. Not a lot of people know really what MABON is. And I think there's room for interpretation on this one. I will tell you that there's probably the least amount of information of all the Sabbats that we celebrate. This Sabbat, there's probably the least amount of information as to what it actually is. Because MABON was not an ancient holiday that ancient pagans celebrated way back when. It's something that kind of neo-pagans, Gerald and the guy who studied under Gerald, which I cannot remember his darn name. Do I have it? Someplace. He came up with the term MABON. He used, because the rest of the Sabbats were Celtic, he came up with, hi, Laura. Hi, Jess. Hi, Sue. Welcome, welcome. So this I want to say his name was Aiden. I can't remember. I think his name was Aiden. So anyway, he studied under Gerald Gardner. When I say Gerald, I mean Gerald Gardner. Hi, Leanne. When he was helping to kind of put together the 8 Sabbats, they wanted 8 pagan holidays about every 6 weeks. There's a little bit longer in some, a little bit shorter in some others. And they wanted a harvest festival around this time. And hi, Heidi. They started really looking at the Eleusinian mysteries, which is from the Greek tradition. Actually, let's read a little bit about the Eleusinian mysteries, because really that's kind of where it started. The Eleusinian mysteries were a sacred harvest festival in ancient Greece. So again, just to recap here. Hi, Weird Wanderer. MABON is not like an ancient Sabbat. It's one of the only ones that we don't have a whole lot of history with ancient pagans celebrating it. So it's, like I said, it's going to be kind of open for some interpretation. The Eleusinian mysteries are based on Demeter and Persephone, the story of Demeter and Persephone. Yes, the autumn equinox has, absolutely. And there's several kind of harvest festivals that they based it on. One is the Eleusinian Mysteries. The MABON, the name MABON came from the Celtic Madron, which is one of the stories around this time. Because the rest of the Sabbats were based around the Celtic traditions, they didn't want to just have one Sabbat under the Greek traditions. So they kind of found a Celtic harvest kind of similar story to the Greek Demeter and Persephone to base this holiday around, this Sabbat around. So that's kind of a little bit of the background. It's a harvest holiday. When they came up with it, they wanted a holiday that was based around, this kind of harvest. And the autumn equinox, they included the autumn equinox, which is what today is. The, thank you. Dark and light. That's right. And we'll talk about that. That's there for a reason. Good eye. Hi, Ash. They talked a lot about the autumn equinox and the balance of the autumn equinox. Today is the day that dark and light are equal. After today, the dark wins over, right? And we're in the dark half of the year after today, and the days get shorter, and it's a little bit darker every day. And so we call it the dark half of the year. The harvest that we celebrate is preparing for the dark half of the year. We talk a lot about the God's death and his giving of himself, his body for nourishment to go into the soil. So that in the spring, we know that that soil has the enrichment that it needs to then foster growth. And symbolically, that for us, that means all of the things that we're harvesting right now, we are looking towards the dark half of the year, which is when we kind of start to go inside more, right? In the summertime, in the light half of the year, we go outside a lot more. We see our friends a lot more. It's less about family, not that it's no family, but it's less about family. And it's more about friends and the people we go out and see. The dark half of the year kind of switches around. Hi, Hacks. And we talk more about looking inward, using our intuition. The veil is thinning, and so we start to use divination practices. The family time and the time in the house, the shadow work time, all of that stuff goes into the dark half of the year. So that's what we're talking about for MABON. I will say that I didn't know what the hell I was going to do for MABON this year. It has been super, super busy. There's been a million things going on. And so I didn't have much of a plan. I kind of thought, okay, I'll figure out like a meditation or something for today, for the actual day for my channel. And then, I'll work on the circle stuff, whatever. Hi, Bob. And so what happened is this morning, very early, I woke up with a humongous migraine, like the worst one that I've had probably in months. One of the kind of migraines that I couldn't open my eyes. Hi, Lori. I couldn't see. I just kind of put on, I went and got my sleep mask. I took my multiple meds, Excedrin and Imitrex and all that stuff, and kind of sat in the dark for a while. And suddenly all of this information started coming to me and downloading. And I realized that I was downloading the talk that I'm supposed to be giving for tonight, for now. And I couldn't see, because if you guys have migraines, you know that there's no way, like I couldn't open my eyes or it would have been too much pain. but I have all this stuff downloading into my brain that I'm supposed to talk about this. I'm supposed to talk about this. And I was afraid, I caught it. I was afraid that I was going to lose it. So I grabbed a pen and my notebook and started writing. You can see like I kind of am slanting. So I started writing and I would put my finger on where I ended and then go down a little bit and write, put my finger on where it ended, go down a little bit. And I got about 4 pages in before finally the meds kicked in and I was okay. And then continued writing for a couple hours. But literally pretty much this entire talk was downloaded. So I have to believe that it was channeled from guides, from spirit, from whoever it is out there that, that I follow, my path follows, that they knew what we all needed to hear. So I hope that you come with an open mind and an open heart and receive the information as well as I was given it. Because it really was like an entire download of a talk. You needed the dark to find your light. Yes, 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 yes. Keeping the balance. Yes, yes, yes. And we'll talk about that. Like I said, the yin and yang. Okay, so let's start. First of all, there's a couple things that came into my mind that I need to read you that aren't mine, and I'll tell you when that comes up. I will also tell you that some of this, it's so funny, isn't it, that everything that we watch gets stored in our brain somewhere, and then when we need it, sometimes I can't remember where it came from, but I know that I saw it someplace, or it took me a couple hours to figure out. The first part of this came from, there's a, I can't believe I have to do this now. There's a YouTube channel that I watch on my personal YouTube channel. That's where I have all my my guilty obsessions and the people that I watch that I don't want you all to necessarily know that I binge. I'm a huge Buffy and Angel fan, and one of the YouTube channels that I love is called Passion of the Nerd, and he is a really, really bright, intelligent guy, and he breaks down the Buffy and Angel episodes and talks about the philosophy of Buffy and Angel and how not modding, just listening. I gotcha. Not modding, just listening. I just got news. My mother has 6 years to live. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Doctor sucks. Weren't we just saying that the other day? Yes. Oh, Leanne, big hugs, honey. I'm sorry. And we'll talk about that too, that there's a lot of that energy going around for sure, that transition energy. And I have found through the years that MABON has a lot to do with transition. Anyway, so the first part of this came from an episode of The Passion of the Nerd. I was watching a Buffy guide, and he was talking about an episode of Buffy where it's the episode where Oz leaves Willow. If you don't know Buffy, then that won't mean a whole lot to you, but there's something that he talks about that very much, at the time I was like, oh, that's super interesting. And then it came flooding back to me this morning. So that's the beginning of this comes from that. And I will tell you that what I need you to understand tonight is that MABON is about transition. It is about the hard truths that we have to go through. It is the everyday suffering and mundane parts of life that we keep thinking are going to end. We keep thinking, I'm going to get through this time period and then I'm going to set my life up the way I want it to be. When I get the house that I want, I'm going to set my life up the way I want it to be. when I get that job that I've been looking for, I'm going to set my life up the way I expect it to be. When I save up enough money, I'm going to quit the job that I'm at that I hate and doesn't fulfill me when I save up enough money. When I have enough money, I will spend more time with my spiritual life. When I, oh my goodness, my chats keep going crazy. All of that. Courtney, can you just mention to Mel and Mikey in that chat that if they have time, they should be listening, because this will help all of them too. I love you. Okay. All of that stuff that we put off setting our life up, carving out the good parts of life, we put off until this happens. And what I realized is, and I've said this before in different ways, but it hit me in a very different way this morning, is that the in-between stuff, I don't have enough money right now. I don't have any place to live after November right now. All of that stuff is just the normal stuff of life that we cannot put off the important things that are important to us, waiting for that different part of life to come, because there's nothing in between. We never get to that point where nothing in life is chaotic. And so finally we can set things up perfectly just the way we want it, so that our spiritual life and our mundane life line up, and our altars are perfect, and our house is organized, and we have enough money, and we're in the perfect relationship. And that never happens. So what exactly are we thinking is going to happen? How exactly do we think that's going to line up? And we spend a lot of time waiting for something better, so that we can then, as soon as, exactly, we spend so much time waiting for this and that, right? And we need to not be doing that. So I'm going to start by reading a poem, and a lot of you hopefully have heard of the poem, because the title of the poem came into my head, and that's what started the download. Okay, so we're going to start with, the poem is called The Dash. Okay, and hopefully you've heard it, but if not, just listen for a moment. It's by Linda Ellis, and it says, I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth, and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Okay. So that was that. Literally, that's the beginning of the download, was the dash. Okay. And so that's the thing. That's the important bit. What's important is not that you don't have money right now. What's important is not that you're struggling with this and that in your life. All of that is important, but that's not what is going to bring you joy. That's not what, at the end of the day, that's not what you're going to remember. And so the next thing that I heard in my head was the song by the Byrds, Turn. And that goes along with Ecclesiastes, by the way. And I think part of it was, if any of you watched the Queen's funeral, one of the readings was Ecclesiastes, which I love Ecclesiastes. You all know I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm a pagan. That doesn't mean that the Bible has nothing to teach us. It has tons of great stuff in there. The strife is the life. That's right. Ecclesiastes 3 talks about to everything there is a season, right? Time to a purpose, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Time to be born, time to die. Plant, time to pluck up what is planted. Time to kill, time to heal, time to break down, time to build up. All of that in Ecclesiastes. And the Byrds sang it, and that's, what I always know is the bird song. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There's a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap. Now, as I'm reading this, I want you guys to see the dualities that we're looking at. MABON is the autumn equinox, the balance. The dualities is what's causing this balance. This is the balance in our life, okay? A time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything, there is a season. A time to build up, a time to break down. A time to dance, a time to mourn. A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, there is a season. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow. A time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Happy MABON! And welcome everyone who's come in. All of that is what causes balance in our life. So as we're striving for balance in the chaos, one of the things that came to my mind is, and I was trying to find it, but what I do have is the yin and yang, okay? I was trying to find the scales of balance, okay? And when we talk about balance, we think that when the scales of balance are in balance, that they are perfectly even and not moving. But that's not what imbalance actually is. Imbalance is when the scales are perfectly even and moving up and down and keep moving. The yin and yang is a shape in motion. It keeps twirling around each other. That does not mean everything in balance in your life all the time. It means, of course, there's going to be love, and of course, there's going to be hate. Of course, there's going to be a time to reap things and a time to sow things, to plant and to harvest. All of that is what makes it in balance. It's not in balance just all the time, straight ahead. Guess what? I have everything in balance. It is all of this and all of this. And the chaos in between is part of the balance. How do we live in chaos and think that that can be in balance? How do we accomplish that? When you do my Reiki, as you move through my chakras, I see the chakra colors coming into rotation together. I love it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes. So there's a season for everything. What do we have to give up? What must die? The season of MABON is about transition. The yin and yang always reminds me of, yes, the Pisces fish. Yes. And it continually is swimming. It's not stagnant. It's not, there isn't no motion to it. It is in constant flux. And that causes the balance because we keep it in constant flux. And we expect the chaos. We expect the flux. It's supposed to be there. That's what makes life. It's the dash in between. All of that other stuff that makes it. MABON is about death, about transition. What do we need to let die in order for us to better move forward? What do we need to let go of, people? There's lots of things. If we've only known chaos, it's, yes, some of you, it is the norm. And boy, more power to you. There's a couple of people in our circle that chaos is their norm. And boy, I wish I could do that. That is not easy for this one. However, there are things that we have to know that it's time to give up. It's time to let go of. It's time for that transition to happen in order for us to fully and completely step forward and know that now is the time to carve out our place in our lives, what's important to us right now in the midst of the chaos. This is it. There isn't going to be that breath time, that time where everything is perfect, that time where it's, oh yes, right now, finally, everything is calmed down for me. No, it hasn't. So what do we have to give up to begin living in the dash for ourselves? Is it control? For me and for a lot of people, some of that is giving up control. Ooh, that's a hard thing, right? Perfection. Is it giving up perfection, which could be part of control? Is it giving up the illusion of having it all together? Do we have to say, you know what? It's okay if people don't see me as this perfect, having it all together. Oh, look, my life is great. Is that illusion worth not living in your dash? I don't think so. Do you need to give up not wanting to let somebody down? That's a big one for me. Not wanting to let somebody down. I keep going. Oh my goodness, it's killing me, but I'm going to keep on doing this because I feel like somebody is counting on me and I just have to keep going. Yes. Oh yes, definitely, Court. Definitely. Giving up the illusion of having it all together. Yep. That's okay, Mikey. It's all right. So when we realize that we have these things that we may need to give up for this, the first thing, like if I said to you, yep, you have to give up the illusion. And believe me, you don't. You can choose to live like that forever. But know that it's a choice to do that, right? When we talk about giving up this stuff that we have kind of built up, does that cause anxiety? We have to talk a little bit about anxiety. Because the anxiety of thinking of living in the chaos, of living in the right here and now, and that's when we talk about living in the present moment, that's what part of this is. There's some anxiety attached to that. And we're going to talk about that next. We live in a bus we renovated, and it's been a struggle because we don't have water or normal electricity. As much as I love our home on wheels, it's time for us to move on. We found a place today. Congratulations. Congratulations. The waves of the ocean never cease, but we can learn to ride the waves. Yes. Oh, yes, 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 for sure. Yes, ride the waves. So the anxiety that we feel comes before the choice. Let me say that again. The anxiety that we feel comes before the choice. Once the choice is made, once you choose, the anxiety goes away. It disappears. It is the wondering what's going to happen. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome. Wondering what's going to happen if I make this choice. What's going to happen if I make this choice? That's where the anxiety comes from, is standing at the precipice, right? Once that choice is made, the anxiety falls away because it's done. The anxiety of the choice is what's really hard. What happens if you make that choice and your friends don't agree? You let somebody down. You have to fall before you fly. Yes. What happens if you let somebody down? It might happen. It's okay. That's part of life. And if your friends love you, they want what's best for you, and they want you to be physically, spiritually, mentally healthy. And when you are spiritually, physically, mentally healthy, you are going to be a better friend. So you have to carve out your life in the in-between. Do not wait. Do not wait for this or that. Do not wait. I remember when I needed to quit smoking. I can't tell you how much I waited for. I'm not going to quit smoking because there's too much things in the air. It's too chaotic right now. It's too hard. I might fail if I quit now. I'm not going to quit smoking now because I just have too much going on, and I might fail. I'm not going to quit my job right now because I don't have enough to fall back on. I can't tell you how many excuses through the years I have told myself. Yep. To not make the choice. I'm going to stand on the precipice and look over the edge and be anxious and anxiety riddled by seeing all of the choices in front of me. I'm not going to make the choice. I'm not going to make any choice. I'm just going to stand here on the edge. The time that it takes us to choose is the worst of it, is the most anxiety riddled. The fear of failure is the worst of it. I did not want to quit smoking cigarettes because I viewed myself as more attractive while smoking because of how skinny I was. Oh, that anxiety. Quitting smoking is best under sucky circumstances. Then you know you won't smoke again, right? That's part of what the here and now is. You have to do it now. The fear of failure is the worst of it. The anxiety of letting someone we care about down is the worst of it. The precipice of the cliff, looking over the edge, the moments, the days, the months, the years we agonize over the choice is the worst of it. The icy grip of the unknown is the worst of it. Some of us can spend our entire lives here paralyzed to inaction by the fear of the choice. Is that how you want to spend your life? Standing on the precipice? Because of fear? Aw, I'm sorry, honey. Hi, Kim. Looking over the edge, how bad will the fall be? How will those I view love me as I fall? As I crash? How long will it take me to recover? Will I find a new path to travel? Or was this it? There is only one antidote for anxiety. Action. That's it. One antidote for anxiety, and that is action. Either you jump or you climb down off the cliff. Either way is a choice, and either way is an okay choice. It's not wrong. if it's your choice. If you jump and that's what you're supposed to do, that's the right choice. If you decide to climb down, that's a good choice. That's your choice. The inaction, the fear, the anxiety that we keep ourselves in, standing on the precipice of the cliff, is the worst of it. I've been battling this over the last 2 days, fighting my fear. I'm sorry. Took getting me fired for me to finally leave a sucky. See, Michelle, that happened to me too. I was in a sucky job that I came home crying from for 7 years and stayed in it until I got fired. Leanne, I am unsure, but I do know I quit successfully 3 years ago and gained about 15 pounds afterwards. Courtney, I love you, darling. If you gained 15 pounds, it's okay. I've gotten past my fears. I faced the fears head on. That's good. That's good. We need to learn to stop torturing ourselves on the edge of the cliff. Stop waiting for things to settle down, to start living your best life. Waiting until after this big thing or that big thing before making our choice. If I choose before, mine were before Witchypalooza, before Samhain, before the next Sabbath, before I'm bringing more money in, before I had a million of them, before this thing, then before I find a job, before we move to the new house, I might not be strong enough to fail, right? I might not be prepared. I might not make it. If I fail and I didn't get that job, if I fail and I didn't whatever, then what? What's the worst of it? What's the worst that could happen? The worst of it is standing on that precipice, allowing yourself to feel that day after day, month after month, year after year. Standing on that precipice is not worth that. The worst of it, if you act, whether you jump or you climb down, it releases the fear. It releases all of that anxiety you've built up. It releases that and allows you then to move forward. Whether you crashed and you have to lick your wounds a little, or you climb down and you have to lick your wounds because you feel like, I wasn't ready to jump yet. It's okay. It's okay. Because now you can move forward. There's a direction. There's motion. There's new things coming. You're not stuck on the precipice. Why do we live our lives on the precipice of the cliff? We can't. We can't not and be fully satisfied, not and live our lives to the fullest. Do not let your fear keep you from living your best life. Sometimes our greatest lessons come from our failures. The greatest lessons I've learned come from when I crash and burn. There is a bunch of great quotes that came to my head. One of them was, everything you want is on the other side of fear. That came from Jack Canfield. Robert Kennedy said, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. Smart man. The phoenix must burn to emerge. That was Janet Fitch. Richard Yates said, if you don't try at anything, you can't fail. It takes backbone to lead the life you want. And Dennis Waitley said, failure should be our teacher, not our undertaker. Failure is delay, not defeat. It is a temporary detour, not a dead end. Failure is something we can avoid only by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. You can't avoid failure. It's going to happen unless you sit and do nothing. There's some other quotes I'm going to get to. Carve out your time. Carve out your time in the right now. Don't wait for things to settle before you get your me time. So for me, that means spiritually. What did I do with? I need my... Damn it. Oh, here it is. I need my fan remote. Whew, hot flashes coming. Okay. So for me, that always means spiritually. I do not carve out enough spiritual time for myself when things are in chaos. So I have lots of things going on. So I am always saying when this next show is done, when we find the house we're looking for, when we move, when we organize this room, then I'll carve out some more me spiritual time. When I get to this point in my walk, then I'll do this spiritual thing. And I am not going to wait anymore. Right now, in the midst of this chaos, if I cannot carve out enough time to feel like I am spiritually fulfilled now, then why in the world when everything is going my way, which is never going to happen, let's be honest. We know that life is not ever going to go, oh, here you go, everything you want. Never. Why would I turn to my spirituality more when everything was finally going my way? That doesn't make any sense. We turn to our spirituality for comfort. We turn to our spirituality for enlightenment, for knowledge, for the way to move forward. So right now, when all the chaos is going on, is when we need that the most. Why do we start thinking that that's the first thing we can let go of? That's really silly. I started going to the gym to help with my anxiety since I was afraid of working out in front of people. I feel a lot better, and it's opened new relationships and opportunities. Heidi, woohoo! Good girl. I did nothing to avoid the weight gain. I had pumpkin seeds and a whole McCain cake with pineapple every night. I didn't try to avoid the weight gain. Sometimes that's what happens. That's all right. Mine is, as soon as COVID ends, I will ... Yeah, no. You know what? COVID is not ending. I hate to say this, but COVID isn't ending, honey. So do what you need to do now. Take precautions. Nobody's saying don't take precautions, but don't wait until COVID is ending, because if you're waiting, you're going to be on your deathbed saying, I wish I had done something. Because instead, I'm sitting here, and my dash doesn't have a whole lot in between. If you can't get PSI, highly recommended the book Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. After I read this book, I was able to get my driver's license at age 35 after feeling terrified to drive. Lori, that's awesome. You go, girl. You may find yourself on your deathbed at the moment of your transition from this realm, wondering what the bottom of the cliff looks like. Do you really want that? Do you really want to be on your deathbed and say, I wonder what it would have been like had I lived? If I had taken chances? If I had been vulnerable? If I had jumped off the cliff, or if I had climbed off and said, you know what, this isn't for me. Either way is okay. Either way is okay. Only living your life on the precipice is not okay. You don't want to live your life there. Never making the choice, never experiencing the lessons of defeat or the joys of triumph. What a tragic way to end this ride we call life, never having lived it. Right? Tragic. Is it scary? Hell yes, it's scary. Is it anxiety riddled? Hell yes. Will we have pain? Yes. Will we cause pain? Yes. But thank the goddess, we can then learn, stand up, dust off, begin to explore our way forward again. Brene Brown. I know I have a talk somewhere in the annals of my channel here about Brene Brown and vulnerability. And if you can find that talk and this has hit you in such a way, look at that talk again. Brene Brown is wonderful, and if you ever have the chance to get her books or see her in person, she's awesome. She studied vulnerability, and she is an incredible woman. She says, courage is a heart word. The root of the word courage is cor, C-O-R. That is the Latin word for heart. In one of its earliest forms, the word courage meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. Over time, this definition has changed, and today we typically associate courage with heroic and brave deeds. But in my opinion, this definition fails to recognize the inner strength and level of commitment required for us to actually speak honestly and openly about who we are and about our experiences, good and bad. Speaking from our hearts is what I think of as ordinary courage. We are warriors, yes. When we fail to set boundaries and hold people accountable, we feel used and mistreated. This is why sometimes we attack who they are, which is far more hurtful than addressing our own behavior or our own choices. And the credit belongs to those of us who are actually in the arena of life, who are making choices, who are failing and getting up, whose faces are marred by dust and sweat and blood. We strive valiantly, and sometimes there's the triumph of achievement, but at the worst we fail. But at least we fail while daring greatly. That has really changed my life. That's what she said. That has really changed my life, to dare greatly, to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to fail. Our greatest things that we can learn come from our failures. We don't learn much when we are always right, when things always go well. Why would you want to get to the end of this thing called life and not have lived it, not have made choices, not have dared greatly? Dare greatly. Jump or climb down. You don't have to jump. You can just turn around and climb down, but don't stand at that precipice. Carve out what you need in this life. What makes you happy? What is propelling you forward? Carve that out right now. Out of whatever circumstance you're in. Whether you're pregnant and working and busy, right? Yes, I'm targeting you, Court. Or you're in the middle of a breakup, a relationship that isn't going right. Or you're searching for a house and you don't know where you're going to live. Whatever it is, carve out your moments, your spiritual oomph. Carve that out of every single day. Carve it out right now, today. MABON is about transition. Allow it to be about transition. Transition is not easy. It's hard. But the worst of it is standing at the cliff wondering if it's going to be hard. What's the worst of it? If we jump, what's going to happen? We hurt ourselves a little bit. We dust off and then we figure out which way we're going next. If we climb down, what's the worst of it? We should have jumped. I feel kind of bad because I didn't jump. And we go around and we find a new path. And we learn from it and we say, maybe next time we can jump. I'm trying to get myself to the place where I can expand my personal circle. Not necessarily that I'm waiting for things to happen, but because I'm trying to keep my family afloat and make steps to my goals. And that's okay if you're still moving forward. If you're not standing on the cliff, right? If you're standing at the precipice and not making any choices and looking down and saying, oh, I promise I'm going to start living. It's right there. I'm going to start living it. Fear is putting yourself through the moment you're scared of repeatedly, over and over and over and over. And that moment on the cliff, that's the anxiety. Once you finally make the choice and you do it, you might have a moment where it sucks. You might have a moment where you hurt somebody. You might have a moment where you get hurt. That's the price of vulnerability. But then you learn and you move forward. You apologize and you move forward. someone might look at you and say, "Oh, you're not perfect. Oh my God, what now?" Hopefully, the people in your life know that human beings aren't perfect. And if you hurt them, apologize. Tell them, this is the circumstance I was in. Because here's the thing. We all have to realize when we are hurt, 99% of the time, whoever hurt us did not mean to hurt us. We weren't in their mind. Because we all have a million things going on at the same time. And we have to forgive each other for that. We have to forgive each other for not always thinking about the other person first. Sometimes we have to have a mirror up because we're going through enough of our own shit that if I take that mirror down for 1 second, I'm going to trip and fall on my face. It's okay. We'll forgive each other. Most of us, at least most of us that are on here, are able to forgive. We're able to see past mistakes. We're able to empathize with the human experience. Half the time when you jump, people will look at you and go, "Damn, you're brave." That's right. And they remember that for themselves. They may not say it to you directly, but they think it. That's right. That's right. Now, in my life, I feel like I have been very brave. There's times that I haven't been very brave. But, I've moved around a lot. I've dropped things, like at the drop of a hat, I have moved out of state. And people have looked at me before and said, "Wow, I don't know if I could do that." If that's what you're called to do, try it out. Try it out. Don't stand at the cliff. I have to go back to the post office tomorrow morning. God damn, I left a package without a freaking label. Oh, Hex. Oh, I love you, honey. Those are the days, aren't they? Whoops. The label was sitting in my printer. Oh, I love you. I have had those days where you're like, what the fuck did I do? Hopefully, do you have a local post office that you go to all the time? Hopefully they'll hang on to it for you. No, it was your box that went out. I'm not gonna kill you, honey. What's the worst that could happen? It doesn't get sent out. Then it wasn't supposed to be there. It's okay. It's all right. The equinox, season for everything. The balance is striving for balance does not mean achieving the status quo. Let me say that again. It's very important. Striving for balance. If not, I'll replace it. It's not a big deal, honey. It just was a thought thing. Striving for balance does not mean achieving the status quo. Does not mean achieving the status quo. It means fully engaging in the darkness and the light, the highs and the lows, the passive and the active, the joy and the pain, the loving and the being loved, the quiet and the chaos. Live it all. Live it all. Balance is not the status quo. Balance is the yin and yang constantly fighting through each other, constantly in motion. Balance is not the scales being completely even. Balance is the constant motion of the scales up and down, and constantly in motion. Status quo is not balance. Live for the dash. What is your dash going to say? When people get up and talk at your funeral, if you have a funeral, what are they going to talk about with your dash? What do you want them to talk about? Right? Okay, so that is the message. That is the message that was downloaded. There's a ton of other quotes. Is there anything that I think needs to be said right now? Turn, turn, turn. Good, good, good. The dash poem. If you did not hear the dash poem and you don't know the dash poem, Go back to the beginning. We read it at the beginning. That is a great poem. Yes, not equal, not equal. I love you too, Joseph. And this was a message that Spirit wanted everybody to know, obviously, because I literally was blind and had to start writing blind this morning, which is not an easy way to write. All right, I love you guys so much. Blessed, blessed MABON. Take this information and use it today, tomorrow, the next day, because guess what? Now it's dark out. Now we are in the dark half of the year, which for many of us is like some of our favorite times, right? I love the dark half of the year. The veil is thinning. There's lots of good stuff coming. We're looking internally. Shadow work is coming. Spooky time is here, right? Take this and use it to move yourself forward. Propel yourself forward in life. Do not stay stagnant. Do not stand on the precipice. Don't do it. I love you guys. I will see you next time. And I think this is going to help me too. I'll be on more. And sometimes it's just going to be us talking like it used to be. Remember when I used to come on like 5 days a week? We'd just talk. Sometimes that'll be that. Yay! Break your bonds, rise to be your higher self. That's right. Take the risk. Whether it means jumping or climbing down, it's okay. Both are a choice. Both are an equally good choice. Do it. Blessed MABON, you guys. Love you.